Hello everyone, welcome to Hill Global. Today we have with us Miss Ragini Khanna, a multifaceted talent known for her compelling performances in Indian television and film. From her breakthrough role as Suhana in the hit serial Sasural Ginda Fool to her appearances in shows like Bhaskar Bharti, Ragini has carved a unique space for herself in the entertainment industry. Beyond acting, she is a trained classical singer and dancer and a host. Coming from a family deeply rooted in the arts, Ragini continues to impress with her dedication, versatility, and vibrant screen presence. Let's deep dive into her journey. I am Samek and you're watching Mindspeak. Let me begin by asking you, what inspired you to pursue a career in acting?
Sainik, honestly speaking, I have grown up in an atmosphere of performing arts. Artistry is something which was not an alien space to me. I was very familiar with performing arts, acting being a branch of the same. So I was fortunately surrounded with very skilled actors, very skilled music directors, musicians. I've grown up in a very enriched culturally superior upbringing. So I was always musically inclined, but somehow circumstantially also I could not find the window to approach singing as a profession.
Okay.
So I was really at a loss of seeking opportunities as a singer because I didn't know how much to ask for, where to ask for, because everybody just knew my mother and everybody just knew my dad. So they were expecting calls from my parents, which were a little. I was a little hesitant to ask for these kind of favors from mom and dad because I don't want to burden them. And then secondly, I just wanted to whatever be it, even if it was just one assignment, I wanted it on my own merit. So in that, what do you call? So in the endeavor of getting a career on my own merit,
Sure.
acting opportunities. Seemed easier to fetch. So I got a portfolio done and I started distributing my pictures. I started going auditioning. I just didn't know where to audition for singing. Till date, I don't know how people approach for singing. Either it's a reality show, because now I only see either you're a viral sensation or you're on YouTube or your singing has just
Yes.
gone viral. So I don't know how people just audition for singers or they meet one music director. I mean, how many music directors you meet? Like casting is a very simpler process today. I wish it was as simple for singers as well. Like it is as simple
Hmm.
for actors. You just to go meet a casting director, audition and get a job. I just don't know how does a singer approach a music director till date.
Okay, so growing up, I'm sure there must be many. So, particularly anyone who influenced you when it comes to acting.
Influences in terms of performers, many. I have been influenced by a lot of factors. In fact, I am a bag full of influential people.
True.
I've grown up in a very influential atmosphere. People are very forthcoming, people are highly supportive, and people are highly imaginative and creative and artistic. I had great access to the literary world. I was born and my whole childhood went in Kavi Sammelans, musical
Sure.
programs, music recordings. I used to go for my mama's chowkis. I used to sing alongside as a background vocal support. And I used to go for my uncle's trials, which we used to go for screenings. Those were the only movies I ever saw in the theater. So as a kid till I turned 18, I have not been to a theater.
Okay.
Yeah, I've only seen Hum Aapke Hain Kaun and Jumanji.
Oh, wow.
Or in Gate Galaxy. I mean, these are the only two movies I've seen in a theater. Otherwise, I've only seen screenings or I've seen it on a VCR or I've seen it on television. Because we just never had the time, and whatever movie, my uncle used to have a movie every month. So we used to have,
Yes.
and that was like a big fest in our house. Like our Chichi Mama ka picture ka trial hai. So the whole family is together. So we are going and the kids go and they have fun. And it used to be all fun films. So we used to really have fun. So we never felt
True.
need of going for a theater viewing experience. We never went. Everything was trials. That's it. So after 18, when I got into college and junior college, I expanded my horizons and I ventured into the real world. So I started going for movies and theaters, and yeah, it was a bright new world out there waiting to be explored.
Okay, so how did Bhaskar Bharti happen to you?
So I was doing this show called Radha Ki Betiyan Kuch Kar Dikhayengi on NTV Imagine, and the production was Diya and Tony Singh. So the same producers asked me to test. So I had already tested for around 27 times for Radha Ki Betiyan to get a part in Radha Ki Betiyan because they were trying to place me in one of their shows. So they had like a bouquet of shows back in the
True.
days. It was a very, very massive and a very prolific production. and also a very creative one. So they were figuring out where to cast me as an actor. And then after Radha Ki Betiyan shut shop abruptly because NDTV Imagine had just shut overnight. So the production retained me and they tested me for Bhaskar Bharti. And the production Dia was hugely convinced about me playing the part. But the channel wanted to be very firm footed because it was Sony, the whole channel was getting revamped.
Okay.
And this was a flagship show for Sony that time. So there were four flagship shows, and which had to have a very massive promotion and a very massive scale of shooting and production and everything, and a very huge cast. So they just wanted to be very firm-footed about me. So we did some 70 look tests for this character,
Okay.
and yeah, a lot of auditions. So till the time the channel wasn't convinced about me playing the part, but Dia was really, really adamant, that she's somebody who can really pull off this part. And I also shed down around 13 to 14 kgs from Radha Ki Betiya to Bhaskar Bharti in a span of 3-4 months. So it all just, it just happened. Everything just happened at one point. Like the show shut, I lost weight and I started auditioning for Bhaskar. So they just cast me, and then, oh my God, it was another story altogether.
Of course. How challenging was it to play a woman trapped in a man's body?
Hugely challenging. Firstly, to wrap my head around the concept of a man in a woman's body was I was quite a novice, and I was I was quite undertrained for the part, is what I want to believe. And also to understand the psyche of a man is not very easy when you're at a fertile age of 24 or 23. I mean, you don't have the emotional maturity to understand the male psyche that much. You're grabbing your head around how you're feeling as a woman. You're still in that, not a girl, not a woman phase.
Of course.
And you're still like dabbling in how much to speak as a girl and how much to speak as a woman, and trying to get a career around. And then you're asked to portray a man's psyche, which is like a fully formed man. So I performed a 30-year-old grown man, which is Ijaz Khan, who was cast. So he's a very mature guy and also a very senior artist back then. He'd done a lot of shows back then.
Yes.
So like, I was like, and it was just my second show. So I really want to thank Kabir Sadanand. He really helped me through. I mean, getting the part was a task. Performing the part was a mammoth task. So, so they really, really guided me through. And the whole credit goes to Diya and Tony Singh and the channel and the entire production and the creative team, Devu Mitra, me, my directors. Oh my God, there were so many directors on the show, all my co-artists. And they were superlative. I worked with superlative people and they really guided me through. Even Amir, he was so sweet. I mean, teaching a man how to romance, like we used to have these romantic scenes, like the man is romancing a man, but the body is of a woman. So, firstly, I didn't even know the girl boy romance in performance. And I didn't have a very strong dating history to.
Okay.
That neither did I have a very strong personal experience backlog to apply it as a girl or apply it as a man. So they really guided me through.
Very challenging.
And Amir was so amazing at all the romantic scenes. So I used to put the male perspective, and Amir used to put the physicality and the whole. So we used to work it out really, really well. It was too much fun. It was too much fun.
Okay, Suhana for Sasural Genda Fool made you a household name.
Yeah.
Okay, so please tell us more about it.
Okay, getting this part again was another another issue because I was doing Bhaskar Bharti and they called me to do this show, and the show was still on air. I was like, how do I leave my show? Firstly, getting me on the show was such a huge task, and then they want me to leave the show all of a sudden for another part. I mean, it would be unprofessional on my part. So I said, I won't be able to do it. I'll continue with this show, irrespective of the ratings, irrespective of whatever it goes through, whatever the fate of the show. I love the show. I stand by my show.
Sure.
And then the show shut shop in December, and I got a call from the same production, the same casting director, and she said, "Just come right now, just test." So Ravi sir met me, and he was creatively very much for me, and he auditioned me with three boys, and he asked my input that who do you think should play Ishan with you? So I mentioned Jay Soni because according to the script I had received, I mean he was pretty, he well fitted the lines, and he fitted this whatever
course.
material I had received. He pretty much fitted the docile house husband, Chandni Chowk, docile boy. I mean, he wasn't overpowering as a character, which Ishan essentially is. Very sublime, very supportive. So yeah, I mean, they went ahead with the suggestion, and they were all for Ishan more than me. And then the channel again had an issue. that I don't look vulnerable or I don't look soft enough. So Bhaskar Bharti issue was that I look like a Farrick's baby. And Sasural Genda Phool's issue was that I don't look vulnerable enough. But actually it's all in the performance because the face was very soft. So however I felt reflected internally. So they really, really worked on my craft. And then we did another, he really invested in a mock shoot, Ravi sir, and then he showed my screen test to Mr. Uday Shankar, who was Star India CEO, and Mr. Gaurav Banerjee, who approved my look test with Ishan, and they were really gung-ho, and then I was cast for the show again.
So your range of roles has been very versatile. Okay, you have played a lot of complex and dark roles as well, like in Pushampa and Gurgaon. So how do you prepare for roles like this? Is there any particular process that you follow? Some kind of a research that you do?
So by the time I reached Poshampa and Gurgaon, I had some experience. And fortunately, after Sasural in the Pool shut shop, I really, really explored world cinema. So, and I worked with the likes of Shimit Amin in ads. I mean, I worked with the best directors. I worked with Rakesh Mehra sir, Mrigdeep Singh Lamba, then Smeep Kang. I mean, A plus listers. I mean, the creme de la creme directors and productions. So by the time I reached Preet, which was Shankar Raman's debut as a director, who was a national award winning cinematographer back then, and
Yes.
now everybody in the world recognizes directorial talent. So by then I had really worked on my acting. I had honed some acting workshop under the mentorship of Mr. Atul Mongia, and I had like my horizons had kind of expanded from the comedy rom-com genre, and I was willing to experiment in this realm of cinematic brilliance is what I want to tell. And I think Shankar and Mr. Shuman Mukhopadhyay, who's the director of Poshampa, I mean, they were really instrumental in guiding me through because I think the director has a clear, when your director has a clear vision of how he sees the film and how you fit in as a character, I think
Yes.
your job is half done. Because once your director has clarity over how he wants to represent you as an actor and how he wants to present you as your character, so I think half your battle is already won. All you have to do is fit into the vision of the director and give
True.
in to him. Just surrender, like blindly surrender to your director. And that's exactly what I've done. So fortunately for me, I had read a lot of criminal psychology. I was hugely interested in detective dramas. I'm a massive docu head. I love watching documentaries. So I was always a crime thriller junkie,
Sure.
like watching You and watching X Files and watching all these detective shows. I was a massive criminal show junkie. So, so it just applied it all in this one movie. And then he gave me two three references to watch for this film, and then all my references were put to use for Preet. Also, Shankar really gave me some very nuanced real life characters who would be somewhere close to Preeto. I mean, we didn't
Okay.
have an exact reference from, because Preet was a Gurgaon based girl. See, there was a lot of entitlement in the movie. Like there was a lot of responsibility endured on the character, but there was so much of I mean, she disowned it all. She never owned any part of the fancies the father showered on her, because she in her head always knew that I'm the adopted one, and I'm not the real kid. So that sense of disconnect is something which Shankar really helped me achieve. To be there and still not be there, to be the owner and still be on a shaky ground.
Mm.
Like, you're in a position of power and you still know that it can be taken away any minute because you're not the real owner. But the father's hell bent that she's the real owner. But that's not the truth in the reality of things. And then you have a scheming brother and you have a scheming environment. So it was a huge responsibility. And Shankar really sensitively handled it out. He gave me some very good references in terms of people who wanted to, what do you call, rebuild and the society. Because the ideology of Preeto came from a fact that she wanted to resurrect. She wanted to do
Sure.
something with the environment. That's the reason she goes to Paris and learns all these kind of architectural designs, and all the kind of knowledge she has acquired from the outside world comes back home to apply in Gurgaon, in her father's construction company. So then the screenplay goes ahead, and then there's a tumultuous turn of events and then everything. Yeah, and then also in the Poshampa also. I mean, the chain of events is spine chilling. I mean, the real case which we
Yes.
had read, the research was done by Mr. Praful Shah, who's a very senior journalist. And the real case of the Gavit sisters had 52 murders on the children, and the cases were really uh, heart wrenching, even as an audience to read. So, firstly, to get used to reading that kind of material and adapting it in your head that something like this can actually coexist in this real world alongside us. I mean, there are people still living who exist to this kind of crime.
Yes.
So it was very scary and wrapping my head around these characters and then accepting that you are portraying this person who's on the death row and post independence there's no woman who's ever been hung. So it's a very very sensitive space to be in. But the directors and the network or the Z, I mean they had total faith in the production and everybody. They were too sensitive and they were too kind, very very humane.
So, what do you see in a project before you decide to do it? The script, the director, any particular attributes that you keep in mind before deciding to do that project?
So for me, honestly, firstly, I received the script or the screenplay. I prefer reading the screenplay to keep it short and sweet. A 2-3 pager works for me. If that interests me, if that is something what I'm looking out for, then however the director wishes to go ahead. Mostly, I have auditioned for all the for Gurgaon I had auditioned, but for the director of Poshampa, I just came on board, and later there was a shift in director for Poshampa. Like Shawansa came later on the board. So, however the production or the network or the studio designs it, I'm okay with it. I'm pretty languid that way. Go with the flow.
Okay, initially you mentioned about the legendary actor Govinda. You're the niece. Okay, so what kind of advantages or disadvantages, it comes along with, being the niece?
I don't know. I really don't know. I do from an outer perspective, maybe there's a lot of advantage to it, but the grass is always green on the other side. So for me, the biggest battle was to, being overshadowed by such a massive career and such a very strong, comedic, brilliant career.
Absolutely.
And I mean, he's known to make people laugh. He's known as an entertainer. And for me to do these hard hitting realities, crux of the heart stories. So those were some choices which I deliberately made to differentiate between the two. If I did a comedic film, I didn't want it to look like a Govinda's film. Then there's no artistry from my end. So I mean, he's excelled in whatever he's done. I don't want to be. I did my idea was to do what he's not done or to achieve what he's not achieved. So that was a very big. What do you call it? It was a very big. I mean, the situation was quite testing.
Sure, when it comes to the legendary actor, it's like climbing a huge mountain because he's such a huge star that he has been.
Everywhere you go after the audition, also they would be like, "Ye Gonda ki bhanji hai," and you just don't know what to
Exactly.
tell. You don't know whether it is a sarcastic comment or whether it's in appreciation or whether it is a look down upon you syndrome. But eventually, Senek, honestly speaking, if I went into politics, then it would be my granddad, my Bauji's political career, which I would want to look up to. Then, if it was singing, it would be my Nani's career. I would want to look up to. If it was writing and music direction, then I would be compared to my mother. If I went for production, then I would be compared to my father.
Sure.
So there was not any battle which was left not any stone left unturned in my family. So I was like, jitna mila utna theek. So my idea was just to achieve one TV show and then get married and just take a hike. Ideally, the idea was to take a hike after doing one TV show. It did not happen that way, and I don't know, it was shocking and a very pleasant surprise that people really appreciated my uh, creative
Of course.
skills and acting. So it came as a shock to me. I was like, really? They're like, oh, you did really well. I'm like, really? I'm still in disbelief when they tell me you're a great actor.
Okay, so what has been the most challenging role for you to date?
Most challenging role? All the parts, honestly speaking. Because if you, I've done around 5 movies and a lot of TV shows, but 3 fiction shows. But every film had its own challenge. Like even if the Punjabi film I did, speaking Punjabi that authentically, and again, one of the biggest films in Punjab. So, matching up to their level of dialect was also another task. When I did Ghoom Ketu, I was cast opposite a Nawazuddin Siddiqui. And so, I've always been thrown into deep waters, waded my way out. And then getting the dialect again, getting the language for Ghoom Ketu also, even though it was a very little part. But still, you don't want to sound fake in front of your leading man. So every part I did was there was some challenge attached to every part I did, which is exactly why I picked up those projects.
Okay, how was the experience of Jhalak Dikhla Ja? You have been a participant, you have been a host, so please share.
Again, my so I was doing Sasral in the pool and I was 24 days blocked on contract, and then they asked for the remaining 6 days, which were like a respite to me in the month. Like I used to look forward that one holiday in the month where I can just laze around. But that privilege was snatched, and I was like, right. So the privilege of a 6 hour sleep was also taken away for a few months, but it was physically excruciatingly tired. And yeah, so I used to 99 shoot for Sasural in the pool, and then alongside I had my Teen The Bhai, which released. So I used to
Okay,
do my film promotions, and then I did Jhalak Dikhla Ja. So I used to do my dance rehearsal from 10:30 to around 2-3 in the night, sleep by 4:30, wake up at 6 and reach the set again by 9 o'clock. So I just felt, that it's like having it all at one time and then not having anything at once. So I just felt in retrospect, when I look back, if I did Jhalak Dikhla Ja as a singular show with no other attachment alongside, I would have probably performed better. My endurance would be much higher. My concepts would have been richer. But again, these are all what ifs, and I mean, I can't really regret my choices now. So yeah, I mean, it was great. I mean, the performance part, I really enjoyed the concepts, and the concepts which were created with me are still relevant and are still being performed on. So I feel I kind of feel proud of it. And then me getting repeated in the same show as a host alongside a massive TV show anchor called Manish Paul, and me being a debutante at hosting with the biggest show in
yes.
television. So again, was a very big achievement for me in my head. For me to be considered and being cast as a Jhalak Dikhla Ja host was a very big deal. So again, every time I'm always I've put myself to test with every project, and I've tried to achieve a certain level of dignity to the art. At least if maybe I'm not exhilarating you as an audience, irrespective, at least I'm not disappointing you. Like I didn't want to be an eye jerker, I didn't want to be
Hmm.
I didn't want to hurt the eye. Like I never wanted to feel like किसको ले लिया है. Like what an eyesore. An eyesore is something I don't want to be. So even when I took a break, I told mom, I think it's like, you should know when to take a bow and leave rather than the audience kicking you out of their lives. It's better you should know when to take an exit. A very dignified exit. So so that's when I started like filtering my work and my commitments, and I decided to take it easy, because getting burnt out and overworking yourself and then the audience getting bored of you is something which I never wanted,
Sure.
because the opportunities were very kind and very generous. People were very sweet to me. So I just wanted to take the right exit and make a right entrance. I think an artist should know when to take the right exit. Before the audience kicks you out, it's better to leave with dignity.
Okay, so how do you stay motivated and inspired in your career?
So, Sally, this is a way of life for me now. Like performing arts is something which is my ecosystem. Like it's a part of my body. Artistry is a part of my body. If not an actor, not a singer, not a dancer, I don't know what to do now. Hosting is something which people recognized in me. There are many things which people have make note make taken notice of more than me noticing it in myself. So I don't know any other way. If not an artist, if not a performer, I don't know what to do. I just don't know what to do. I'm in do a 9 to 5. I'm a master's in graduate. I can easily pick up a nice 9 to 5, 9 to 6. Now we have a 10-hour shift commitment. So I could easily do a corporate job, but my heart, my everything lies in performing arts. I feel deeply rooted. I feel deeply committed. I feel emotionally satisfied in performing arts.
Okay, so any particular time where you really feel that phase was very challenging for you?
My whole career has been too challenging, right from acquiring work, right from deliverance to delivering and making it up to the job, and to even with the smallest thing like making being on time, to get your look right, to get your styling right, to deliver right, your dialect, your word, your language, your even promotions, even your interviews, because I could do the best job on the planet, but if I don't promote it correctly, if I promote it
True.
in the wrong tonality, then it gives a very deceiving picture of my work. So promotion is also an art which I really trained for, to even to give interviews. I mean, I remember Shankar really put me to training for 6 months. He said, you should need to learn to speak, because what you speak and what people decipher are two different things.
True.
So the right kind of talk is hugely important. Really, even promotion is a form of art. Giving an interview is a very big art.
Okay, my last question to you. Okay, Any word of advice to the aspiring actors? Especially, would you suggest them to have a backup plan, okay, a plan B in place when it comes to entering this industry, or do you think just like they should just come wholeheartedly and give their best for this without keeping a plan B?
Honestly, acting is my plan B. I've excelled in plan B. Plan A was singing, and a plan A plus was getting married, being a housewife. So, all I want to say is that irrespective, sometimes you have plans for yourself, but people have bigger plans for you. Like you might not. I mean, to develop a third person perspective towards your own self is something which comes with a lot of experience. To many, it never comes, but sometimes you need to have faith in people who believe in you, people who work with you, people who work for you, people who are paying you and giving you dignity. You need to surrender to the Almighty. You need to surrender to people who want to dignify you, who want to reach out. So you need to have faith and belief, firstly in yourself, in your Almighty, and then the people who are reaching out to you, who want to collaborate. So irrespective of plan A to Z, could be either or. You have to be totally into it. Even if you're a housewife, you need to be the best housewife there is. Even if you're a student, be the best student you are. Even if you're a daughter, be the best daughter you are. Irrespective of what you do, if you put your heart and soul into it, you something will sprout from it, and something will lead you. Like it's like a domino effect. It really reaches out in such ways which are unimaginable, and it reaches out to the corners which you can't even fathom. you know and it's like मतलब ख्वाबों ख्यालों में नहीं सोचा था ऐसा कुछ हो गया. So for me, that's my career. Like something which I could never imagine. So I'm huge, full of gratitude, and I have too much faith in everybody. Like I trust too easy now. I've always been too trusting, so that's the reason. And I've only met people in good faith. So the universe was too kind, too generous, too giving. You just have to be ready to receive. Like
Sure.
in my belief, Mother Nature is only giving, it's only parting knowledge, wisdom, life, health, prosperity, wealth. How ready are you to receive it? I'm willing to give it to you. But if you're not ready to take it from me, even I won't be able to help you. Doesn't God help
course.
those who help themselves?
True.
So
Very
you
true.
gotta help yourself and be ready to receive everything. Everything will fall into place.
I absolutely enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for this time. It was lovely talking to you.